Much like the Britney Spears song goes, "Oops, I did it again," we're going to be talking about in this episode how Brad Holmes once again had an oops, he did it again when it came to robbing the NFL blind. Stay tuned, everybody. It's about to get fun.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So, folks, we all know that when it comes to the Lions, if there is one thing that they have been extremely good at when it comes to the NFL over the last couple of years, it's been drafting. And if there's one thing we know that within the draft they have been good at doing, it has been robbing the NFL blind. They have been doing it now for years. And you have to think about this. When you consider the difficulty and the stress that GMs and teams have to deal with during draft time, I mean, just from that perspective, it's no surprise why some teams may do poorly with their draft selections. And we've definitely seen it with some teams. Now, obviously, I'm going to say this. It's impossible to determine how good a player or a draft class is going to be when they haven't played yet. That is 100% factual. So I am basing this a little bit on, one, my opinion, but I am heavily basing it off of, okay, what have we seen the Lions do in the past? What has been their MO? What has been their process? And that's why I'm about to say that even though you can't 100% know, the signs and the indicators exist, and that's why I'm about to tell you that, you know what? Maybe you don't know how a player is going to play until they actually put on the pads and get on the gridiron. But because of those signs and indicators, there's going to be a pretty good, ability to figure out whether or not a player is going to have a better chance of success or not in the NFL. And when it comes to the Lions, this chance is even further heightened. It's even further elevated due to the insane success that they have had and maintained in terms of their process over the last 4 years. And it's one of the many reasons that I firmly believe that the Lions made off like thieves, made off like bandits during the draft for the third time in as many years. Now, some people are going to be like, well, David, what exactly do you mean by that? What exactly are you referring to here? Well, what I'm referring to here is what I would like to call steal drafts. And let me establish what drafts I mean and clearly define when I talk about steal drafts. For me, the Detroit Lions have had 3 of these. That's the 2022 draft, the 2023 draft, and this most recent draft class of 2025. Now, coincidentally, or maybe not, these are also the drafts that saw Holmes making not only a lot of trades, but big trades, either up or down, in which he used those trades to acquire talent or acquire other draft selections to then go and get said talent. Now, I know some people might, disagree with me on certain draft classes, and that's fine. I have no problem being disagreed with, but if you're going to disagree with me, you better have more than just opinion to back it up. Now, I know also some people are going to be like, well, why don't I include the 2021 draft class as a steal draft? Well, it's not to say that the Lions didn't get potentially some good players at spots that they probably couldn't have normally, but when I take a look at what Holmes has done over the last couple of years, whenever he's really manifested a steal, it's usually been by trading. If you go back to the 2021 draft class, the Lions only made 1 trade in the entirety of that draft, and that is when they traded to get both Barnes and Jamar Jefferson when they traded with the Cleveland Browns. And while Barnes has been a good player for us, I wouldn't call him a steal. And Jamar Jefferson, he was a virtual nobody. So it's like, okay here. 2021, yeah, we got Penei Sewell. We got Ali McNeil. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those were all great picks. But think about it. That was more just good fortune with the fact that, Penei Sewell fell to us at pick number 7. We were able to get Ali McNeil in the 3rd round. We were able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round. That was more by people being stupid from the other 31 NFL teams rather than the Lions actually making moves to quote-unquote steal people. But when you take a look at the 2022 and 2023 draft classes that the Lions and Brad Holmes particularly pulled off, they did so with a number of steals between those two classes that left the NFL kind of doing the kind of thing, because it's like they left the NFL in awe and wonder about the moves that they were able to pull off. Go back to the 2022 draft class. In that draft, we made 2 trades that have proven to be good steals for us. First, we traded up to get wide receiver Jameson Williams at pick number 12. And then we traded back and we were able to get linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez. Then if you go to the 2023 draft, the Lions traded back and got 2 steals by being able to draft Jahmyr Gibbs at pick number 12. And then one of the picks that they got from that trade with the Cardinals, they also used to draft tight end Sam LaPorta. Then the other trade that they pulled off was when the freaking Lions leaped in front of the Packers by trading with the Packers with their actual pick that they gave to us to select Brian Branch, the Branch name screwed me up there, Brian Branch at pick number 45. Now, as we can clearly see there, the Lions in both 2022 and 2023 were very active in either moving up or down to acquire either players outright or to acquire, picks to get players in other spots. That's what Brad Holmes does. He's very active typically when it comes to draft day. He's always looking to try and make deals so that way he can get the draft board the way he wants it to be. And when you think about it here, the Lions, from those picks that I just mentioned, Jamo, Rodrigo, Gibbs, LaPorta, Branch, each one of those guys that they got, how they got them, they've been steals for us. Again, let's talk about Jamo real quickly, and we'll talk about all 5 of the guys that I just mentioned. If you talk about Jamo, if you were to compare Jameson Williams from the number of wide receivers that were taken in rounds 1 and 2, of which there were quite a number, his stats don't particularly stack up very well comparatively over the last 3 seasons to most of those guys. However, you have to take into consideration that he was out almost all the 2022 season recovering from his ACL injury, and in the 2023 season, he missed 5 games either due to suspension or due to injury. Now, wait a minute here. I'm not particularly a mathematician, but he missed 12 games in 2022. He missed 5 games in 2023. Or it was 11 games in 2022. I don't know. Either way, you're talking about Jamo missing over the first 2 years of his time in the NFL pretty much a whole season worth of games. 16, 17 games was missed. I mean, that's a lot of time for a player to miss in which they're not on the field, they're not developing as quickly because, being out on the field is where you're going to develop a lot, even though you're going to develop also a lot in practice and camp and all that other stuff. But you're missing primarily out on the chance for production. You're missing out on seeing what that player can actually do. So think about it. In his first 2 seasons, he's missing a whole season's worth of that production, which would massively swing where he is in relation to his peers from the 2022 draft class. But here's where I believe Jamo is a steal. And some people might agree with me, some people might not. That's fine. But think about this. If you go back to the end of last year, Jameson Williams finished the year with the highest reception per average of any wide receiver. He finished with 17.3 an average a catch, had over 1,000 yards. Granted, it was 1,001, but he did it only having 58 receptions, folks, and had 7 receiving touchdowns. I mean, let's just think about that for half a damn second. For a receiver to have less than 60 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and having a reception average of 17 yards or more per reception, dude, that is just uncanny, insane production. So what I'm saying that Jamo is a steal for is that based upon what he did in 2024, which was absolutely insane just from that perspective, think about the potential production he's going to have in 2025. I have no doubt in my mind that Jamo is going to be a lot closer to probably about 1,500 yards in 2025 and probably closer to about 10 receiving touchdowns in 2025. I have no doubt about that. Jamo is about to go off. And that's where the real quote-unquote steal factor is going to really start showing itself. So that's Jamo. Let's talk about Malcolm Rodriguez. For a guy that was a 6th-round draft pick, Rodrigo came in and he absolutely made an impact starting right away. I mean, you go back to when we were freaking having hard knocks and freaking Kelvin Shepard, our current defensive coordinator, was the linebackers coach. Then he's like, dude, are you guys seriously trying to have me put a rookie as a starter? Because he's like, that's what you guys are having me trying to do here because he's outperforming you guys out on the field. A 6th-round draft pick rookie is going into camp and he's outperforming guys that have been in the league probably 6-7 times as long as he's been. The fact that he was able to come in and start right away and have an immediate impact for us as a 6th-round draft pick. I mean, dude, that right there already shows that he was a steal first and foremost because you don't expect 6th-round draft picks to come in and have an immediate impact. But think about this as well. Rodrigo has also shown positional versatility. We've seen him play at linebacker. We've seen him play on special teams. We've even seen him play at fullback on occasion. The guy literally will do just about anything the Lions ask him to do. And he does it actually particularly well. So again, you take a look at how Rodrigo has been since he's gotten here, and now he's part of a very solid and deep linebacker core, is a continual contributor. That's an excellent value for a 6th-round draft pick. Now, let's move into 2023. 2023, up until this draft class, I was willing to tell you it was the steal draft class of almost any draft class you could probably find. And that specifically revolves around the 3 players I'm about to talk about, Gibbs, LaPorta, and Branch. You take a look at Gibbs. This is an easy steal for the Lions because, again, knowing what we know now about Gibbs and how he's performed, this guy should have gone top 5. And think about that. A top 5 player, and we got him at pick number 12. This guy fell out of the top 10. This is a top 5 player, and we got him outside of the top 10. And when you take a look at how Gibbs has performed and produced over the last 2 years, there is a very strong indicator that he could become the best running back in the NFL by the end of this year or by the beginning of next year. Especially because of how he's produced and the offense that he's on. I have no doubt about that one in my mind. But when you think about the offense that he's on and the current weapons that we have, Goff, St. Brown, LaPorta, Jamo. I mean, the list just goes on and on. It's like just running up a freaking tab that just does not end. I mean, the way that Gibbs plays the game with this offense that we have, it'll be like playing Madden on rookie level. So that's Gibbs. Now you talk about Sam LaPorta. LaPorta, I think, his pick kind of rivals the Gibbs one a little bit because, first and foremost, you have to consider the fact that the Lions drafted a top 5 producing tight end, and they did that in the top of the 2nd round. This guy didn't get drafted in the 1st round. He got drafted in the 2nd round. But you also have to think about how hard it is to transition for tight ends from the NCAA to the NFL. Running backs, it's not that hard. It's pretty much, hey, you're reading where the hole opens up in the offensive line, you're putting your foot in the ground, and you're running. There's not as much transitional weight as far as from the NCAA to the NFL. There is some. But there's a reason why when it comes to the top 3 positions for rookies to transition out of the hardest, they always say it's quarterback, tight end, and cornerback. Those are the 3 most toughest ones to transition. And the fact that for Sam LaPorta, as soon as we got him, he literally was an instant impact. It was like somebody put a spark plug, a supercharged spark plug inside of this Lions engine, and it just went vroom. That was exactly what LaPorta was with our offense. Because when you consider the fact that according to PFF in 2023, LaPorta was the 4th best tight end on their big board, but yet since 2023, LaPorta has been the best, again, I say this, the best producing tight end from his draft class. 4th best tight end from their big board, PFF's big board, but yet he's produced the best out of all the tight ends from that draft class. That right there ought to tell you something pretty damn important. Because, who was the only tight end that was drafted in the first round in the 2023 NFL draft? That was Dalton Kincaid, who's with the freaking Bills. But yet, LaPorta's outproduced him. Think about that. Kincaid plays on a Bills offense that prioritizes throwing the ball with an equally prolific quarterback to our own Jared Goff and Josh Allen as far as throwing the ball. And yet the Lions offense under Goff, which is a more balanced offense in running the ball than the Bills, has outproduced him. In fact, if I recall correctly, I think LaPorta's outproduced him to the tune of like 600 yards. So think about that. LaPorta was picked a whole round lower than Kincaid, but yet he's outproduced him, despite being on an offense that's more balanced than the one that Kincaid's on. And then when you think about the fact that there were people that were like, the Lions should have taken Michael Mayer when he was available because he was a better tight end. Really? What's Michael Mayer been doing out with the Raiders? Absolutely bubkiss. Freaking LaPorta's outproduced, Mayer by the tune of almost 4 times as much. So when you take a look at the fact of the position that, LaPorta was transitioning from in terms of the NFL from NCAA, and how successful he's been immediately. You consider the fact that he was drafted in the 2nd round. You consider the fact that he's outproduced all of the other tight ends from the same draft class. I mean, that's a steal. Which then brings us to the last one, which is Brian Branch. When it comes to Brian Branch, this is an outright steal because it definitely fits because of the fact that this is a player that Packers fans wanted. They wanted Brian Branch. And how we got him makes this just absolutely freaking epic. Not only did the Lions steal a first-round talent in the 2nd round, but they did it by stealing it from the team of the fans that wanted him. We traded with the Packers to move up 3 spots and got him. I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but remember the guy that does the Packers live streams that everybody talks about? I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but I've watched some of his stuff. He's absolutely hilarious. I absolutely love watching him sometimes. But I remember during that live stream for the draft, he was absolutely besides himself when the Lions drafted Brian Branch with the pick that his team used to hold. I thought that was absolutely ridiculously funny. And the worst part about it is that not only has Brian Branch, made the Packers pay for that, he's made the rest of the NFL pay for that. I mean, dude, you take a look at how Brian Branch plays. He is a very hard-nosed, very gritty, just very tough safety. And the fact that we got a first-round talent in the 2nd round, that's an absolute steal. But how he plays just amplifies it even more. And then when you consider the fact that we've paired him with Kirby Joseph and we have the best safety duo combo in the NFL, it's just further insult to injury. Now, people are going to be like, well, that's great, David. You've listed off all the steals. But how does that make the 2025 draft class a steal draft? Here's how it does. Again, for me, I take a look at the draft of 2025, and again, I'm basing this all off of potential, and I'm basing it off of the fact of how the Lions have done in the last couple of years. But when you take a look at the players that they acquired that I consider potential steals, that's Tyleik Williams, Ratledge, Tesla, Frazier, and Hazanin. And there's a reason why I have each one of those on there. When I have Williams and Tesla on there is because we quite literally stole those players from the Bills. Reports have come out since the draft that the Bills were looking to draft both of those players. Like, if we hadn't drafted them where we did, there was a very good chance the Bills were going to draft them. The Bills are one of the most competitive teams in the AFC. They're Super Bowl contenders. I would much rather our team have those players than the Bills have them. Then we take a look at Ratledge, Frazier, and Hazanin. Ratledge was one of the best guards in the draft, and we got him in the second round. And think about it, we got him towards the bottom of the second round. The fact that he was on the board as late as he was, and we were able to get him, that's definitely a steal in value. I don't give a damn what PFF or anybody else wants to say, oh, it was just an average value pick. Bull crap. Horse hockey. You clearly are just not wanting to give the Lions their due credit. And I'm telling you this right now. His dirt dog mindset about how he plays the offensive line, it's going to be a huge freaking bonus for how the Lions play, because that's going to fit in like a hand to a glove. Now, when you talk about Miles Frazier and you talk about Ahmed Hazanin, those are guys that should have gone higher than where they were. Frazier should have gone a whole round higher than when we got him. And Hazanin, he probably should have gone 2 rounds higher than when we got him, maybe even 3. Hazanin's production when he was at Boise State was just through the damn roof. And ever since we've gotten these guys into, the rookie minicamp, and we've already started to see how they've been producing, it's like, yeah, these guys already are showing the telltale signs that they're going to be really damn good players. I'm telling you, when I already take a look at how these players are performing, how the coaches are talking about them, how they're doing their jobs, how they're showing up and they're excelling, they're outperforming what their expectations are, it tells me that the Lions, once again, despite what the headhunters, despite what the opinion makers, despite what all the supposed draft experts wanted to say, they got the right guys. And they got steals, not only in terms of the value of where they picked them, such as Ratledge, Frazier, and Hazanin, but also in terms of taking them away from other teams that really wanted them, that were really good as well, such as Williams and Tesla. I'm telling you this right now. We don't know it for 100% yet, but I'm willing to bet you money that by the end of this year or the end of next year, we're going to be hearing about how, oh my God, Brad Holmes has done it again. He got another round. He got another round of a draft class that is a whole bunch of steals. I'm just calling it way earlier than everybody else. But you guys do with the information what you will. You guys can say I'm either right or wrong. We'll see what you guys think. But having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. I also encourage you all to do one of these 3 things, like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage you all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also want to encourage you all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed the content. Hope I was able to give you guys something new. Hope I was able to give you guys something that you probably hadn't heard before. And maybe, give some light, give some airtime to something that maybe you didn't want to admit, but you were thinking about. I also hope that that's the case no matter how many times you guys have watched me, whether it's been forever and a day or this is your first time watching me. Also hope you guys have something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.